YouTube, man. Welcome back to another reaction video. It's your boy. She loves B-Law, man. And like I said, in today's video, I saw this video. I ain't watch it, but I saw like when he first started post that shit. I'm like, should I watch this? I'm like, hell yeah. I mean, hell yeah. But nah, bro. We're gonna go ahead and watch. Patrick Beverley just lost everything. We're gonna see what the fuck he lost, cause I mean, NBA vet, millions of dollars. We're gonna see. Road to 5K subs, ready to hit 1,000 already. Now we just need the 4,000 watch hours, man. It's your boy Sheila's B-Law, man. And let get it. And let go. Ooh!
By thinking about it, meat-based.
And we got about two more other videos we're gonna go ahead and watch, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna watch the Anthony Davis one right there, y'all see. And it's another corny ass rapper we gonna fucking react to. And y'all know who I'm talking about.
Fort Bend County officials confirmed that Beverley was arrested on a felony charge of family violence assault.
We stick with our guys till there's a reason not to. As I understand it now, yes, we will have Pat's back.
You know, there's a moment in every athlete's career where you can see the plot starting to shift. Sometimes it's an injury, sometimes it's age catching up. But for Patrick Beverley, the moment everything started to unravel might have happened in the early morning hours of November 14th at a home in Fort Bend County, Texas. And what went down that night? Well, it's worse than anything we saw from him on an NBA court. We're talking about a felony assault arrest involving his own sister. Accusations that include choking, physical violence, and threats. This is the story of how one of the NBA's most notorious defenders went from annoying NBA superstars to facing serious prison time. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this might be the final chapter in one of the most controversial careers in recent NBA history. So I want to give you guys a brief trigger warning because the contents of this video are a little graphic, so if you're easily triggered by these types of events, this is your opportunity to click off of the video. I'm also running a giveaway on this YouTube channel and on my Instagram page. I'm giving away a jersey of your choice to a subscriber that turns on their notifications on this channel, or someone that follows me on Instagram and has my notifications on. Just comment in the YouTube comment section what jersey you'd want, or in my Instagram comment section what jersey you want, and I usually pick one of the first people to comment because that means you have my notifications on. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro.
Sure. Okay. Sure. I'm sorry, y'all. I catch a little vibe.
We have been absolutely crushed.
Okay, we ain't doing that.
It via my Discord server, Instagram stories.
We ain't doing that, brother.
Bam, getting at least here's getting 15. Potentially, we make this one of the descriptions video. Patrick Beverley's story is actually pretty inspiring when you strip away everything that came later. This is a kid from the west side of Chicago who wasn't some five-star recruit. He wasn't a lottery pick. He wasn't handed anything. He went to Arkansas for college, got academically ineligible, and instead of giving up, he spent 5 years grinding overseas in Ukraine, Greece, and Russia.
5 years? I didn't know that.
2012, playing for Spartak St. Petersburg in Russia, he won the Euro Cup MVP. And guys, that's not some participation trophy. The guy was legitimately dominating European basketball. When he finally got his NBA shot with the Houston Rockets in January of 2013 at the age of 24, he made the most of it.
I signed a no NBA clause overseas. At the time, the buyout from the NBA is only $250,000. So I'm thinking like, all right, NBA got that. My agent tells me like, no, they can only pay $250,000. Look at my mom, she's in the corner. What you think? She pulls out checkbook, literally gives the check to the Russian team, and I was able to leave.
Over his 12-year NBA career, Beverley averaged 8.3 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 3.4 assists per game. Now, those aren't all-star numbers, but here's what matters. January of 2013 at the age of 24, he made the most of it.
I signed a no NBA clause overseas. At the time, the buyout from the NBA is only $250,000. So I'm thinking like, all right, NBA got that. My agent tells me like, no, they can only pay $250,000. Look at my mom, she's in the corner. What you think? She pulls out checkbook, literally gives the check to the Russian team, and I was able to leave.
Over his 12-year NBA career, Beverley averaged 8.3 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 3.4 assists per game. Now, those aren't all-star numbers, but here's what matters. He made 3 All-NBA defensive teams, including first team in 2017. He also won the Skills Challenge in 2015. For a guy who was the 42nd pick in the 2009 NBA draft and didn't even make the NBA until 4 years later, that's a hell of an achievement. His whole identity became about defense, about intensity, about being that guy who would dive for every loose ball and be that annoying guy to get under the skin of opposing superstars. He called himself Mr. 94 feet because he'd guard you full court, all game, no breaks. Some people loved it. They saw a hard-working underdog who maximized every ounce of his talent. Other people, they saw something else entirely. They saw a guy whose hustle crossed the line into reckless, whose intensity looked more like dirty play.
I gotta realize, bro, Pat Bev is really him. He's tough, bro. It's just, you gotta play your role sometimes,
And whose confidence bordered on delusion. And honestly, both groups had a point. April 24th, 2013, that's the date that changed Patrick Beverley's reputation forever. The Houston Rockets were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round of the playoffs. Game 2, the Thunder had Westbrook and Durant. They were title contenders. Westbrook was going to call a timeout on the sideline when Beverley lunged for the ball, making contact with Westbrook's knee just as the whistle was blowing. Now, was it technically a dirty play? Most people would say no. Guys make plays like that all the time, trying to catch the ball handler slipping during a timeout call. But was it reckless? Absolutely. The odds of getting that steal was basically zero, and the risk of injury was high, and the result altered NBA history. Russell Westbrook tore his lateral meniscus. He missed the rest of the playoffs. The Thunder, who were legitimate championship contenders, got bounced in the second round by Memphis. Westbrook's career was never quite the same after that injury. Beverley defended himself, saying, "I don't go out and try to hurt anybody. I try to make a play on the ball." And you know what? I actually believe him. I don't think he was intentionally trying to injure Westbrook, but intention doesn't erase the impact. That player,
God, man, I would be pissed off, bro. Cause I know he didn't mean to try to, but it's like, bro, what is that still for?
earned him a permanent enemy in Westbrook and a reputation around the league as someone who played on the edge of control. The beef between those two lasted for years. In 2018, Westbrook was doing the Rock the Baby celebration after scoring on Beverley, mocking him. Later that same game, Beverley dove at Westbrook's knees on a loose ball, and you could see Westbrook was furious, thinking that Beverley was trying to hurt him again. They had to be separated. It got so heated that the police actually had to come on the court because the situation was escalating. And then there was the trash talk. Westbrook famously said about Beverley,
Bev trick y'all, man, like you play defense. He don't guard nobody, man. Just running around doing nothing.
Work today is broken. We're all working in too many disconnected apps, and it's killing team productivity.
the whole thing was messy, personal, and it defined a big chunk of both of their careers. But the Westbrook situation wasn't isolated. Throughout his career, Beverley kept finding himself in controversial situations. He'd get into it with Chris Paul, he'd jaw with KD, he'd get technicals for overly aggressive play. And look, in small doses, that intensity is what made him valuable. Teams loved having that bulldog mentality, that guy who would do the dirty work. The Clippers made their first ever Western Conference Finals with Beverley on the team. The Timberwolves had their best season in years with him providing veteran leadership. But there's a fine line between being intense and being out of control, and the more time went on, the more it seemed like Beverley was losing track of where that line was. May 2nd, 2024, that's the last time Patrick Beverley played in an NBA game. He was with the Milwaukee Bucks. They were getting blown out by the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs. The game was basically over, and in the final minutes, Beverley threw a basketball at a female Pacers fan, hitting her in the head. Then he asked another fan for the ball back, and when he got it, he whipped it at that fan too. A professional athlete in the middle of a playoff game threw a basketball at paying customers twice. The NBA suspended him for 4 games, which he still hasn't served because no team signed him after that. The fans filed a lawsuit claiming physical pain, emotional distress, humiliation, medical expenses, and lost wages. Beverley never seemed to really grasp how serious this was. There was no real apology, no acknowledgement that what he did was completely unacceptable. It was like he couldn't understand why people were making such a big deal out of it. After that incident, his career was basically over. No NBA team wanted to touch him. He signed with Hapoel Tel Aviv in Israel, and that stint ended with the team suspending him in February of 2025 before eventually parting ways. At 37 years old, Pat Bev transitioned to media, doing podcasts and making appearances, and even there, he couldn't stay out of trouble. Just last week before the arrest, Beverley and Jason Williams made comments on their podcast about Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion, suggesting that Klay's relationship...
Damn, what happened? Referring to my GF as a pussy is so disgusting, disturbing, especially if someone played in the NBA. How would y'all feel if I referred? Damn, gang. What's wrong?
Was why he was shooting poorly.
Klay Thompson, y'all steady trying to get him a pass. I ain't never seen Klay not shoot it like this. And for him to say I'm out of my prime, like, come on, Klay, like, come on.
He said that?
Yeah.
I'm from West Virginia, man. I've been taught a lot by some old folks. It only takes one to drag a battleship across the desert. That's how powerful it is. Klay Thompson, I ain't saying that's what it is, but that might be.
Man, I won't say Klay is out of his prime. Klay is him, bro. He would always be him. It's mental with Klay, bro. Everybody know it's mental with Klay Thompson, bro. We all know it's mental with Klay Thompson, bro. He never had a bad season until either the few years or that last year in Warriors, and like now, bro. It's like, what the fuck is we talking about, bro? This nigga is a fucking Hall of Famer, gang. I wouldn't even say he's washed. I mean, he ain't doing shit. I don't know why, but I won't say he's washed, but Megan Thee Stallion is one of them girls. She's the stallion for a reason. That gotta be the reason why you bullshitting. It's gotta be. But also, too, he was bullshitting his last few years as a Warrior, so who knows? Hold on, I'm texting my girl real quick, y'all. Checking the right spot again.
What it is.
Looking back right now, it's like watching a car slowly lose control. Each incident a little worse than the last. Each time the consequences getting more serious, and each time Beverley seeming confused about why people were upset with him. And then things would get to a whole new level of terrible. I mean, I don't even think that I could conceptualize something this awful.
Bangkok is one of the few global cities where you can ride all season.
How the fuck do niggas know where I'm at right now? I ain't tell nobody nothing. That's why you people be thinking they going ghost like, nah, everybody know where you at, gang. Everybody know where you at, gang.
Or Ritz-Carlton.
How the hell you two knows?
On Thursday morning, November 14th, around 3:50 a.m. at a house in Fort Bend County, Texas, one of the most deeply disturbing incidents that I personally ever heard occurred. According to the police report, Patrick Beverley's sister, who is a minor, snuck out of the house in the middle of the night to see her boyfriend, an 18-year-old named Aiden Hildebrand, at a nearby park. When she got home, her mother, Lisa, was awake and waiting. Lisa told her daughter to go to her room, then instructed her to call her boyfriend and tell him to come pick her up. When the boyfriend arrived, Lisa had him come inside the house, and then she called Patrick Beverley to come over. This is where things allegedly got violent. According to the sister's account to the police, Beverley scolded her, then grabbed her by the neck with both hands and picked her up off the ground by her neck, lifting her feet off the floor. She told officers that his grip on her neck made her feel pain, like she was losing oxygen and couldn't breathe. She said this lasted about 20 and 30 seconds. Let's pause here for a second, because 20 to 30 seconds of not being able to breathe is an eternity. I mean,
a long time, especially you getting choked. Holding your breath is cool, but getting choked is crazy. Pat Bev, I know that's your sister, bruh. You could at least had a belt and whooped her. You know what I'm saying? Or had another punishment that didn't involve violence. And he know that, bro. He definitely know that. He just on some bullshit. You can't do that as a famous, high-profile individual. You can't do shit like that, bro. You cannot do shit like that. Just get on her ass and yell. You can yell and say whatever. But what are you doing, bro?
Take a moment, pause this video, and try to not breathe for 20 to 30 seconds. Now, couple that with the adrenaline that is going through your body and how fast your heart is beating from the fact that you're in this life or death situation, and that's a long time to be choking someone, especially your own teenage sister. But according to the affidavit, it gets worse. The sister stated that Beverley then took her out of the bedroom by the neck and slammed her body against the walls of an open room area. Then he allegedly laid her on the sofa, stood on top top of her and punched her approximately 1 time in her left eye with a closed fist. The sister also claimed that during this, Beverley made a comment that he would be the family relative to end her life. After that, the boyfriend was told to leave, and Beverley followed him out. When Beverley came back, the boyfriend called the police. When officers arrived, they documented their findings. There are visible markings on the sister's neck, and there are pediculi in the whites of her eyes. For those of you who don't know, pediculi are basically tiny red dots that appear when blood vessels break, and they're a classic sign of strangulation. Beverley was arrested and charged with assault of a family or household member, impeding breath or circulation, which is a third-degree felony in Texas. He posted a $40,000 bond and was released. Now, Beverly's side of the story is obviously different. His attorney, Leticia Quinones-Hollins, released a statement saying Patrick Beverley has no criminal record. He cares deeply about his little sister, a young lady, a minor.
But you gotta realize, gang, I don't want to pick and choose sides and shit, you know what I'm saying? So we'll see what it is. But shit don't come up out of nowhere, bro. Shit don't come up out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? Shit don't come up out of nowhere. Like, if the police saying that it's a bruise on her neck and the eyes and shit, bro, that is what it is, gang. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people can't make stories up and shit, you know what I'm saying, to hinder somebody's, downfall or some shit, bro, but there's certain shit that people can't do.
Given that when he unexpectedly found her alone in the home with an 18-year-old man in the middle of the night, he was understandably concerned, as any brother would be about his sister.
Facts.
However, we don't believe what followed happened the way it's been described, and we look forward to the opportunity to address that in court. Beverley himself took to Twitter posting, "Please don't believe everything you see on the internet. Hope all is well," with a prayer hands emoji. He later posted, "Y'all pray for the fam, heart, love," with a family photo. So his defense seems to be, yes, I came over because my mom called me about my minor sister being with an 18-year-old guy in the middle of the night. Yes, I was concerned, but no, what happened next isn't what they're claiming. Here's my issue with that defense. There's physical evidence. The markings on her neck, the pediculi in her eyes, those don't lie. You don't get those marks from a calm conversation.
Facts.
You get those from someone's hands around your throat, cutting off blood flow. The police documented that evidence. That's not what the internet says. That's what medical evidence shows.
Facts.
And look, I get it. Finding out your teenage sister snuck out to meet an 18-year-old guy in the middle of the night, that's a situation that would make any big brother upset, and I have a little sister. But there's being upset, and then there's allegedly choking someone for 30 seconds, slamming them into walls, and punching them in the face. Those are two
Just use the belt, gang. That's what the belt is for. Use the belt. Belt to ass.
completely different things. So what's Patrick Beverley actually facing here? In Texas, assault on a family or household member that impedes breath or circulation is classified as a third-degree felony. If convicted, he's looking at anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. Now here's where it gets interesting. Beverley has no prior criminal record. This is his first offense. So in theory, he could potentially get probation instead of prison time, especially if he reaches a plea deal. First-time offenders in Texas often get more lenient sentences, especially if they complete anger management classes, counseling, that kind of thing. But there are a few factors working against it. First, the physical evidence is strong. Second, this is a strangulation case, and courts take those very seriously because of how dangerous they are. Third, there's the death threat allegation, that he said he'd be the one to kill her. And fourth, even though he has no criminal record, he does have a documented pattern of violent and aggressive behavior. His NBA suspensions, the Pacers fan incident, all of that
And that's the crazy thing about it, is like they gonna go by all that shit, you know what I'm saying? So they gonna see, because bro, he's an NBA player, bro, and I know these judges or whoever, bro, police officers definitely watch basketball, bro, like, you know what I'm saying, or heard of it, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they gonna judge that shit based off like this shit right here, like the incidents of what's going on. So for sure,
potentially be brought up to show a pattern. There's also the civil side of this. Even if criminal charges get reduced or dismissed, the sister could potentially file a civil lawsuit against him. The Pacers fans had already filed one over the basketball incident, claiming physical and emotional damages. A family member who allegedly got choked and punched, that's an even stronger civil case. You know what's crazy? Pat Bev's whole identity was built on being tough, being physical, being that guy who would do whatever it takes. takes. And for a while, that worked for him in basketball. Teams value that intensity. Fans loved the underdog story. He made millions of dollars of being that guy. But here's what we're learning. You can't just turn that off. You can't be that aggressive, that physical, that intense for 48 minutes a night for 12 years and then suddenly be a different person when you step off the court. It doesn't work that way. The same traits that made him valuable in the NBA became liabilities in regular life. Think about his pattern. It starts with overly aggressive defense that occasionally injured opponents. Then it escalates to yelling at fans and getting into confrontations. Then he's throwing basketballs at paying customers. Now we're talking about alleged domestic
paying customers. At the end of the day, they are fans, but they are technically on paper paying customers, bruh. This is a business.
Violence against a family member. Each step of customers. Now we're talking about alleged domestic violence against.
Why the fuck Neon right there? Why the fuck is Neon right there? It's famous ass.
The family member. Each step on that ladder is worse than the last, and each time Beverley seemed genuinely confused about why people were upset. There's this cycle.
Pat Bev, y'all gotta realize too. Pat Bev played on every level. If y'all think about it, bro. Middle school, high school, AAU, college, overseas, NBA. High level overseas, bro. Nigga got a good resume.
Logical concept called
and tell each other shit on my nigga Trey Young. Yeah, we ain't doing that, brother.
Escalation of commitment. Basically, when you've invested so much in being a certain kind of person, it becomes harder and harder to admit that maybe you need to change. Beverley built his entire career, his entire identity around being this ultra-aggressive physical presence. Admitting that maybe he needed to dial it back would have meant admitting that the foundation of his success was flawed. So instead, he just kept doubling down, kept pushing further, kept insisting everyone else was being too sensitive, until allegedly choking his own sister. Now, you know what gets lost in all of this? There's a teenage girl who, according to the allegations, got choked, slammed into walls, and punched by somebody who's supposed to protect her. That's traumatic. That's the kind of thing that stays with someone. Even if we take Beverley's side and assume his intentions were good, that he was genuinely just trying to protect his sister from a situation he thought was dangerous, the alleged methods were completely unacceptable.
And you gotta realize too, bro, you're 37, gang, and she's 14. Like, come on, bro.
You can't just put your hands around someone's throat for 30 seconds. You can't punch them in the face. That's not protection. That's abuse. And if those allegations are true, his sister is going to carry that trauma for a very long time. There's also his mother, who was there and witnessed whatever happened. There's the boyfriend who saw his girlfriend get assaulted. There's his other family members who now have to deal with this very public situation. The whole family is torn apart, and it's being played out in headlines and court documents. So what happens next? Beverley has a court date coming up, though the exact date hasn't been made public yet. He's got a defense attorney who seems ready to fight this. His strategy appears to be disputing the sister's account while emphasizing that he has no criminal record and was acting out of concern. The prosecution has physical evidence, witness testimony, and the sister's detailed account. They've got the markings on her neck, the pedicai in her eyes, and the fact that the police were called. That's a strong case. The most likely outcome is probably some kind of plea deal. First-time felony offenders often do. Maybe he pleads to a lesser charge, gets probation, has to do anger management and counseling, stays away from his sister. Best case scenario for him is the charges get reduced significantly or dismissed if there's some evidentiary issue we don't know about. Worst case, he goes to trial, gets convicted, and does serious prison time.
And I know that you gotta call, your son to tell him what's going on, but as you being a mother, why are you allowing that shit? Tell him, hey, you gotta go home. You know what I'm saying?
Loughborough University is one of the top-ranking university in the UK, and it's a great place.
But here's the thing, regardless of what happens legally, Pat Bev's reputation is done. Any chance he had of an NBA comeback is gone. His media career is going to go on hiatus for a little bit. Teams aren't going to want to associate with someone facing domestic violence charges. Podcasts aren't going to want him as a guest. Sponsors definitely aren't touching him. He's 37 years old. He hasn't played in the NBA since May of 2024, and now he's got a felony charge hanging over him. Even if he avoids prison, his basketball career is over. His media career is probably over. He's going to always be known as the guy who allegedly choked his sister. That's his legacy now. Pat Bev's story is ultimately a cautionary tale about unchecked aggression, about what happens when the traits that make you successful in one arena become destructive in every other part of your life, about refusing to change even when all the warning signs are flashing red. From 2013 to 2014, we watched him go from scrappy underdog to a controversial figure to someone who threw basketballs at fans to now allegedly committing felony assault against a family member. Every step was a little worse. Every time people said, wow, that's too far. And every time he kept going. Whether the court finds him guilty or not, we know this. Pat Bev's story ends here. Not on an NBA court with a championship or in the Hall of Fame, but in a Texas courtroom, defending himself against accusations that he choked and assaulted his own sister. That's his legacy. And the saddest part is it didn't need to be this way. At any point along the journey, he could have chosen to dial it back, to get help, to recognize that the intensity that worked on the court didn't translate to real life. But he didn't. And now a teenage girl has allegedly been traumatized, a family is torn apart, and a career that was built on toughness ends with allegations of domestic violence. That's not tough. That's not intensity. That's tragic. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike.
And Pat Bev, but bullshitting, goddamn. Alright, YouTube, that's the end of the video, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Road to 5K. We're already hit 1,000 already. Now we just need the 4,000 watch hours. It's your boy C. Let's Be Law, man. We out.